Hi, I'm Calivan, and welcome to episode 2 of the Beyond All Reason Challenges Guides. We're going to look at a few challenges today, and we're going to start off with number 5, which is testing the waters. So, like the previous scenario, testing the waters pits you against one of the barbarian AIs. On normal difficulty, there isn't really any special method or strategy to winning this battle, and lots of different things will work. A kind of standard way is to start off with a land factory, capture all of the metal, and then expand into the water, taking advantage of the efficient and consistent tidal generators to power your early economy. You'll probably face some light surface vessels near the start, or maybe some hovercraft, so remember to protect your construction ships as you expand out to secure all the metal spots. Now, as you can see, it's a huge map, so intel is the key. You want to build lots of floating radar/sonar towers so you can spot the enemy coming from a long way away and then try and meet their small packets with overwhelming force. This is where the sonar coverage will really help you. Generally, amphibious units are really slow, so you'll have lots of time to respond. Destroyers are really useful for the early part of the game as they can attack units that are both above or under the surface. Now, on brutal difficulty, there's a good chance that you'll be overwhelmed in the early to mid-game with this strategy, as your limited number of destroyers will be run ragged trying to deal with all the amphibious units, hovercraft, ships, and other stuff the AI will chuck at you. So, the best way I've found to handle this is to stop the AI from getting established in the sea in the first place. And to do this, we're going to exploit one of the weaknesses the AI have, a tendency to focus its early efforts on land. So, my strategy for this is to use the time I've got to pump out some early seaplane torpedo gunships, and use those to kill all the enemy amphibious constructors and attempts to build shipyards. Once we've got that sorted, we can do what we want. So we're going to open up with a bot lab, and then we're going to go and capture all this metal. We're going to build a few chainsaws just in case they decide to send some planes, and then we're going to switch it up. We'll eat in our bot lab, build some construction turrets, and then we've got a shipyard and an amphibious platform. And then we're going to start churning out some early puffins. So what these are going to do, they're going to start off just going to the middle of the map on patrol. And then once I've got 4 or 5, I'll be sending them a bit further. Just 4 by the looks of things. So torpedo gunships I prefer over torpedo bombers. They just seem to be a lot better at getting damage on targets, especially that are moving. They don't seem to waste too many shots, and they get a lot of time on target. So what I'm going to do is use these early puffins to just stop the enemy getting anything established in the water. I've got more coming over now, and I'm just going to keep pumping them out. You'll notice they've actually got them on a path, so when they spawn, they'll fly over this route here, and then they'll just go backward and forward over the map. And then after a while, when I've got a few more, what I'll do is I'll put them over here. Actually killed their commander here. Now that doesn't win you the game, but it does slow them down a bit. So now I'm bringing over the rest of my puffins, and I'm just going to put them all on a patrol route back and forward. And now I've updated my seaplane platform so that my patrol route is automatic. So that's pretty much got me covered. This really limits what the AI can do. If it can't build anything in the sea, all it can do is send amphibious units. Most amphibious units are terrible at dealing with air, especially... what have I got? I mean, I think there's an armed bot that can do it. I think the platypus actually swims on the water rather than underneath it. But everything else is going to really struggle. Obviously, Marauders got anti-air, but not when they're underwater. Now what this means is I can just completely control their side of the map and effectively just lock them into this bit. Now this gives me all the time in the world. So I spread out, I capture all my metal, I build as many tidal generators as I want, get a load of turrets up, and then I'm going to crank out a Tech 2 aircraft plant and build loads and loads and loads of bombers. The AI is normally bad at anti-air. Well, not bad. It tends to build lots if it notices you've got lots of air, but if it hasn't noticed that you've got lots and has had a lot of time, it doesn't build a huge amount, and when it does build it, it's not really in optimum positions. Now they are sending out some surface units. Obviously the puffins can't deal with hovercraft, so you will need to get some gunships or some bombers out to deal with the hovercraft. But everything else the puffins should be able to deal with. I've also mixed in a few fighters, a few sonar planes and other odds and ends, just to make sure that if enemy fighters come at me, or I can deal with any. The whole point here is we can deal with anything. So if we have a look at what we've got in this section here, we've got 5 horizons. These are just seaplane radars. This means we can see pretty well. Started to get some Hornets to kill the hovercrafts. Got 35 Puffins and 16 Cyclones. Cyclones are just the seaplane fighters. And what have we got there? And we've mixed in a few abductors as well. Just EMP could come in a bit of use. Now the AI is a bit confused. It doesn't know quite what to do. It's built all this anti-air. As I said, it knows I've gone air, so it's built all this anti-air. But rather than spreading it all down the coast, it's just made a big blob of it in the middle. Now what I've done is I've decided to do some damage. So I've cranked out my first flagship. That's come out earlier. We've got another one here. We've not really bothered with getting any APHIS up. We've just gone for some naval fusion reactors and a lot of tidal generators. 20 is really good for tidal speed, and it's consistent, reliable, and you can build it with your commander. So I normally just set him just continually building that. You're pretty safe over here. There's nothing, no planes are going to get through. You want to make sure you build an anti-nuke because you never know. And this should keep you safe. And now I'm going to start getting an APHIS up and just try and expand my economy a bit so I can pump stuff out harder. Also building a constructor over to this island. And it looks like they're pushing out to attack my flagship. Now this won't be a huge problem. I mean, these Titans are tough, but they don't have a huge amount of anti-air, so that's not too bad. And the Epoch can just destroy everything from range. Although you should move it back and don't let it get sunk like that, because that's stupid. What I'm doing here is building a hovercraft platform, and then I'm going to spam out loads and loads of scout hovercraft just to give me some vision. Obviously I can't see everything, but if we go to my view, you see that I don't have a huge amount of vision going on. So I want to just spam these hovercraft so I can try and get an eye on things, and that gives my flagships plenty to shoot at. I'm continually replenishing my wall of torpedo planes, trying to build up some chainsaws here, but they don't like that. They come and kill it every time I try. But these gunships do pretty well when they're massed against Titans, especially as they've got no real anti-air support. I mean, the Titan does have an anti-air missile, but it's quite slow firing, and, you know, I've got a lot of gunships at this point. They are building a Ragnarok. That's exciting. So now it's time to probably try and wrap this up. So I'm probably going to use maybe nuke bombers or nukes or something like that. I want to use something big and chunky. Probably try and kill their APHIS here, deprive them all their energy, and then I can do what I want, really. I mean, I'm already in control of this game. There's not a huge amount the IA is going to do to threaten me. I mean, the Ragnarok looks scary. Well, guess if one Ragnarok isn't working, then maybe 2. And there we go, just chucked a nuke in. If they do build anti-nukes, I normally just try and snipe them down with some nuke bombers. That pretty much wraps this up. Without any of their energy, they're not going to have to do much more. So I think I'll probably start to build some amphibious tanks. Here we go. I know that's more gunships, more... Just gonna keep nuking everything. I mean, there's nothing left, so I just finish it off with some bombers and some gunships. Pretty easy. So the trick is, get in early with them seaplane torpedo gunships. Stop them getting into the water at all, stop all their amphibious units from getting across to you, and you can do what you want. It won't really matter that it's on brutal, because you've got such a huge amount of metal spots that you'll be able to out-economy the AI even with their bonus. So that was pretty simple. Let's look at Back from the Dead. Now, Back from the Dead is a bit interesting. I kind of like it because it's kind of different than a normal game. What you want to do with this one is cripple your enemy's production kind of early. It looks like the AI you're facing is only one of the simple AIs, And even with the 50% extra resources it gets on Brutal, it doesn't seem to do anything smart with those resources. So we start off with grave robbers and loads of dead stuff. Now what we want to do first is we want to make sure we get some of these turrets up, because they do send some little fast units to attack you, and you don't want to lose your grave robbers to them. So after we'll get our bot lab, we'll get our metal extractors up, make sure to reclaim this and get the advanced one up instead. And then just res probably half of these turrets to protect yourself from early on. Now there's a lot of random stuff that spawns on this map, and it is random, so it's different every time you play it. The trick is to sort of spread out, probably on the top half of the map up here, try and find some good stuff to get. Now you can either use your grave robbers to reclaim it, which is worth a lot of metal, or if you build yourself a decoy commander from an advanced bot lab, you can capture it. Now the stuff that's really handy and slow to build, I often go through and capture, because if you look up here, we've got some advanced metal extractors, we've got a overseer, we've got a big plasma energy defense ray, loads of things like that. Now the enemy gets a kind of similar base than you do, and they've got to do the same thing. Obviously though, they're an easy AI, they're not going to quite know what to do with all this, and they're probably going to make some unsmart decisions. So yeah, what you want to do, spread out, find all the buildings that are worth a lot of metal that aren't worth capturing, and then reclaim them. And then use that huge amount of metal you're going to get from that to just get straight into T2 and get some really powerful units out. You don't want to muck around and stay T1 for ages and try and have a proper fight. You want to get straight to T2, start capturing things, start building units, and start killing the enemy. It's a big map, it's got lots of metal spots, and as you're against the AI, the longer it drags on, normally the more frustrating the game gets and the harder it can be to win. So you want to get in kind of early and do some damage. Speed this up a bit. So once I've got everything in my base up, I'm going to get an advanced bot lab up, and then I'm going to get a decoy commander out so I can actually start capturing some things. And while this is happening, my grave robbers are going around finding anything that's not worth capturing and eating it up for metal. The AI is not really doing much against me yet, just expanding. It's got a few units, but nothing much. Then I'm going to start cranking out Sheldons, and also a radar jammer and a radar bot. This will be my main force to kill the enemy with. So I'm going to wait till I've got a big clump of these. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to go around with a couple of decoy commanders and just start capturing stuff. If I find any powerful defences, I like to capture them because it really can frustrate the enemy. I like to capture things like overseers, and then also metal extractors, energy generation, anything like that I can make use of, as long as I think I can defend it. These heat rays, I think they're a Legion building. I've not really seen them in normal play, but they're quite fun. Just remember to turn it on. They start off and you need to turn it on. I do like capturing some little defences as well, because it can keep these decoy commanders safe for quite a bit, and these pop-up Sabo batteries are quite good. Now I've got a big load of Sheldons. I'm going to start making a push on the base. The AI will still have T1 units at this point. Unfortunately they killed my decoys, but Sheldons have got low damage but amazing range. So what you want to do is just stay a long way away from everything, use your radar and your radar jamming to good effect, and just push down the map, kill everything that gets in the way, build a few mammoths with all the metal you've got just to stop the T1 units from damaging your base, and then you can just push down through this valley and just wipe everything out. Just make sure you stay back, don't rush, make sure you take your time, kill everything, don't get too close, and you should be able to destroy the base while the AI is just running randomly around the map with all its rubbish T1 units. Unfortunately, I think this map is a kill every unit kind of scenario. So once you've done this, It's just a case of trying to find everything and kill it and clean up, which can take a lot longer than actually winning. Now I've taken all their production, there's not really going to have much of a chance to start a new base. So what I do is flood the map with a load of gunships. At this point I've got loads of metal from all the extractors that I've upgraded and captured. Got a couple of power plants, so that's fine. Just going to churn out gunships on a big patrol route. They're just going to go through the whole map and just clear everything up. Even built a couple of dragons just because. So as I said, this is a very easy scenario, even on brutal difficulty, as long as you make sure you are quite smart about what you capture and what you reclaim, and make sure you do actually spread out and try and get a lot of reclaiming and capturing done rather than just sit in your base. This will be pretty quick. So the next one we're going to look at is number 7, which is the Sky's the Limit. Now this is you against 2 barbarian AIs, but it's a very different map because it's air only, which is actually quite fun. It's not actually that difficult, but I found it quite good because it's a nice change of pace. I think this is the first challenge you'll find where lots of buildings and units are disabled. And a lot of the buildings that are disabled are ones that would make this really, really easy. So if you could build long-range anti-air, this map would be way too easy, but you can't. So basically you need to win with just air. Now you've got 2 platforms that you can use. You start on this one, or maybe you can choose this one, but anyway, I'd start here, and then you can expand over here to get the extra metal, and you can also capture these metal spots all over the place. The AIs will build air and they will send lots of planes, and they don't make terrible decisions, just bad ones. So what I like to do is open up with a couple of mechs, get some windmills, and then get an early air factory out. Also like to get a radar out because it's nice to see what's coming. And what I'm going to do in this game is just pretty much continually build fighters. Even when I've not got much resources, I'm still going to be building fighters. And the only time I'm not is if I'm using the plant to build construction aircraft. That's pretty much, or bombers or something else. But pretty much build fighters, always build fighters. And then what I like to do is I put them on a patrol route on the middle of the map, and they'll just fly back and forth and they'll kill everything that they find. There's a bit of acid rain on this map that seems to damage your buildings a little bit, but only a little bit, and it seems to be infrequent enough that they have time to heal up on their own before it comes again, so not quite sure whether it is just a bit of flavour maybe. So I'm going to build a construction aircraft, use that to capture a bit of extra metal, but you don't need too much metal on this map because planes are very energy intensive rather than metal intensive. So I'm just going to get loads and loads and loads of windmills up. Can't build any good anti-air. So fighters are the most important thing because on a little area like this, one bomber gets through and it's all over. And you can't really afford to space out your wind turbines because there's just not enough room. So I'm just going to pack them in as tightly as possible, crank out fighters and make sure they protect me. And I've told the aircraft plant as soon as they spawn, fly up to here and then patrol across the middle of the map. And I'm just going to build a big wall of fighters. And I'm going to keep doing that until I've got about 50. And then once I've got about 50 fighters and I feel very safe, I'm going to go and start bombing the enemy. And while I'm building up my wall of fighters, I will be capturing extra metal spots. What I generally like to do is build a mechs, a sneaky Pete, and maybe a radar on each of these little outposts. Give me lots of jamming coverage, give me lots of radar coverage, and get a bit of extra metal coming in. And then after a little while, what I'll do is I'll build a Osprey, pick my commander up, pop him down over here, and then he can go and get started over there. You don't need too many construction turrets. Remember, you're not building a huge amount of stuff here, so don't try and flood this whole area with 50 turrets straight away. Just start off with 4, 5, 6, and then expand up as your metal and energy creeps up higher again. So we've got 32 fighters. You will lose some. The enemy does build fighters, but not too many, and their economy is not too great either. And we're just going to build loads more windmills over here. Now, before we bomb the enemy, once we've got 50 fighters, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Tech 2. This is because I hate the Tech 1 bombers. I don't think they're very good. But to be honest, I think they would totally work on this, and I should have gone for the Tech 1 bomber. couple of bombers in there would have wrecked the whole thing. But on this playthrough, I decided to go for tier 2 bombers. So we do that. I eat the tier 1 lab because I don't need it anymore. Get a construction plane out. Start building a couple of energy converters because I've got plenty of energy. I'd only build a couple, but I just want to make sure that I'm not wasting too much. Then I'm going to upgrade my mechs. And now I can start cranking out decent bombers. Get a few more construction turrets. Now my fighter numbers have dropped down a bit, so I'm going to start cranking out some Tech 2 fighters. These are much better than the Tech 1 fighters, and they'll absolutely eat the enemy for breakfast. Just make sure your patrol route isn't too close to the enemy base, otherwise they'll often go over and get shot a bit when you don't really want them to. Middle of the map's fine. Now I've got a couple of nuke bombers. I'm going to use them to go and pop the commanders. It takes 2 nuke bombers to kill a commander. And you don't need to use them. You could just use normal bombers, but I find it satisfying. So that's 1 commander down with 2 nuke bombers, and now I've just got to go and kill the other one, and that's the end of the game. Here they go in. Easy as that. Like I said, I don't think you'll struggle too much. Pretty simple. As long as you get your fighter wall up, and you get your fighter wall up early, keep replenishing it. Have somewhere between 40 and 50 fighters to make sure you're safe, and then just build bombers, flatten the enemy. No worries. For the last one in this video, let's have a quick look at one robot army. Now, this is a micro-focus challenge where you're given a handful of starting units and must use them to get to the enemy base and kill their commander, who's imprisoned in a wall. Your force consists of a fat boy, a gunslinger, a Zeus, you get a radar bot, you get 3 ghosts, and you get a couple of Lazaruses. And you get a little base here with a little bit of energy generation just to power those things. It's got a couple of dragon's claws. Now the enemy gets a base already made. Now I don't think they're allowed to make anything that's tier 2, so that makes it a bit easier. The commander can't do anything, he's just trapped in here. And you've essentially got to get your forces from here at the start all the way through the map and over here. So the path to the base is protected by wardens, guards and twin guards. Helpfully, your fat boy can pretty much outrange any of these. So as long as you take your time and you're careful, you won't lose anything at this point. Now, you've got to get a good mix of speed but also careful. If you take too long, your opponent can build too many units, and although it's still doable, it's really easy. One tiny mistake and it's all over. So you want to push forward at a good pace, but you don't want to get distracted and start killing stuff that isn't directly in your way. It doesn't matter that this dragon's teeth is here. It doesn't matter that there's a warden here, nor does it matter there's a load of stuff up here. Just ignore it and push on. Although I do take that radar out, I'm not sure. I just decided that might be a good idea. Now these wardens do cover this area here, so you have to kill at least this warden and maybe this guard. Now probably just this warden, I think. Always push forward with your ghosts first, they're amazing, and make sure you remember to cloak them too. But just push forward with the ghosts, let the fat boy kill everything. And then keep your gunslinger, well, I normally keep the gunslinger near the fat boy to help him out a little bit. And then I keep the Zeus near my Lazaruses and my radar bot, just a bit of a close-in defence, in case there's a little bot that runs in and has a go at them. So remember what we said, you need to be accurate and fast, but not too fast. So I'm just going to stay out of range of this warden, walk round the edge and slowly fire away at it. Then we need to get across the bridge. At this point your opponent will only have a handful of bots, so it won't be too much of a problem. Now your fat boy will mostly explode things in one go, but occasionally it will almost kill it, and then the gunslinger will finish it off and the corpse will be left over. If this happens, do use your Lazarus to res them up, because it's worth having a little bit of extra cannon fodder for your army. The Gunslinger is particularly adept at finishing things off. Also, he self-heals, which is really nice. So as you can see here, the Gunslinger's leaving bodies behind, which the Fat Boy won't. Well, it might do if it gets an AoE kill, but normally it'll just explode them in one go like that. And then use your Lazarus to pick these up, heal them up, and then you've got a bit of extra cannon fodder to help you. So make sure you keep your Fat Boy at the front. He's got a lot of health, can take a lot of damage, and also you can heal him up with the Lazaruses behind him. Just make sure that you use your thugs that you've resurrected and your Gunslinger to secure the flanks and kill anything that gets too close. There is a load of jellyfish coastal torpedo launchers down here. Don't know why. Can't see a good reason for that, but don't get distracted by them. Just keep pushing on the base. It is very satisfying watching the Fat Boy explode all them grave robbers at once. Hopefully we'll get to see that in a sec. Just remember to push forward with your ghosts, get yourself some vision. That's the most important thing. You want to see them way before they see you. Just use one ghost at a time in case you muck up and get it killed, because you will need one at the end. Well, not need one, but it's helpful to have one. This is why it's nice to pick up these thugs, because it is good having a little bit of extra blocking force. You don't want them getting behind you and killing your reses and your radars and things like that. Although I do leave my radar back here by accident on this one, but it's not too much of a problem because I've got ghosts, so I can see what I'm shooting ahead of time. Can be quite hard to get vision on these two things, but the Fat Boy's got so much health, he can pretty much tank all these and just kill them, and then you can heal him up with the Lazarus. And make sure, keep picking up thugs. No point leaving them dead, and you don't need the metal, so keep picking them up. Now the last real obstacle you have to come through is this weird little kind of U-shaped thing here. Now the one difficult thing about this is this Scorpion does a huge amount of damage to anything, including your Fat Boy. So you want to be very careful of the Scorpion. Obviously these guards have got like 160 DPS. These things do like 412, and they've got really long range as well. So you can just about outrange it if you move your Fat Boy to the very edge of its range and then shoot an AoE it. But it'll take a long time to kill because it gets extra health when it's underground. And then make sure to use your thugs that you've still got to just cover your back. Then you want to bring up your Gunslinger, use him to pick up things at the front so that Fat Boy can just rain death down on all these twin guards. And yeah, use the thugs to protect your back. At this point you just want to take your time. Just go to the very edge, you'll be able to see it. As long as you've got vision, you'll be able to see the edge and you see where it attacks from. So just stay out of its range and then pick everything off. It is useful to sometimes kill these guards up here, their wardens up here, but not necessary. But if you want to, you can take your time, take these down just to give yourself a little bit more breathing room. Now this one does reach out to here, so you do want to be a bit careful. See, there's a lot of grunts coming out, so you do want to use the thugs to protect yourself here. It's mostly because we're on brutal difficulty, so the enemy gets double resources, which is why you're seeing quite so many grunts. But they will try and probably repair this Scorpion, so what we're going to do is we're going to use our Ghost. We're going to run in and self-destruct next to it. That's going to stun it for 30 seconds while it's up and takes more damage. Then we can just easily run towards it and kill it. And that's pretty much the base open. Now you've still got to be a bit careful here because there's quite a lot of stuff and you don't want to make a mistake. Just take your time and just blow everything up. It can be quite difficult because of the amount of construction turrets, so try and find a nice soft target to shoot. I do actually resurrect a construction vehicle. Now you don't really need to, but I decided to get him to build a bot lab. Mainly because that means I can build some grave robbers to help repair myself, and as I've only got 2 Lazarus. Also, my Lazaruses get killed because I'm not paying attention, so the fact that I've got this means that I can still repair my Fat Boy. The Fat Boy should be able to shoot over the wall pretty much. It should damage the commander with each hit. The walls won't stop the shot, and then he'll die, and then that'll be it. And there you go. Hi there, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video then please click the like button, and if you've got any questions or thoughts then leave them in a comment below or on the Discord. And as usual, if you want to see more of this sort of thing then subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you back soon.